How you doing, folks? This is Attitude2 for OutstandingPoker.com. I've loaded up another video here. I have a 10-cent, 25-cent video I'm doing. Kind of a transition from my last series where I was doing a little more high stakes of 3, 6, 5, 10 type stuff. So I wanted to get back into the micro stakes here because I know a lot of guys are playing these stakes, a lot of our members, and I think there's a lot of nuances at the micro stakes that are different from the higher stakes, and I kind of want to get into those. I know Hockey Guy's doing a great job of putting a lot of good, solid microstakes content together, and I just wanted to augment that. Sort of my thoughts around the microstakes and take some of, I guess, my learnings from over the years and applying them here specifically with really how to play with those weak type players that I see a lot of messages on the message board in our forums about people being like, well, these guys never fold, they call everything, they call down, how do you handle it, and how do you counter that? And I guess really poker is just a game of exploiting your opponent, right? Like finding out what their weaknesses are and then exploiting it. Like if a guy never calls down or always calls down, never folds, like you can't really expect to bluff him too much, except for limited scenarios where you know he's drawing and you might be able to get a river fold. So in those scenarios, you're gonna have to tighten up pre-flop and wait for more value hands and value bet them. Conversely, there's a ton of nitty type players at microstakes who just sit there and try to exploit these laggy messes, and so they play no hands. Like if we look at Long Tongue right here, he's playing 12% hands, he's raising 7. So he's the nitty type guy that they're also very, very exploitable. And if you really want to start boosting your win rate and really start crushing these games, you want to be able to exploit those guys too. So it really comes down to, well, who are your opponents at the table? Who is your opponent in each specific hand, and what type of strategies are really going to exploit them over the long run and really start making you some money. So I really want to focus with you guys in this video series. I've pre-recorded this one already. So I'll be doing a couple of videos at microstakes of really how to exploit the various player types at these stakes. And that's really what it comes down to being a winning player is if you know how to play the various opponents you're up against, then you're just going to really start to make a profit over the long run. I mean, like I said, in the short run, anything can happen, but in the long run, if you're playing optimally against the various opponent types, each hand, realizing that each hand is unique and each opponent is unique, and you need to play them very differently, then you're going to turn a profit in the long run. So I've loaded up here 4 tables of 10 cent, 25 cent. And I have just a few hands on each player so far. I loaded up the tables for about 10 minutes before I started, just so I got a few hands on my opponents. We see some guys I have like 40 hands, like Long Tongue I think is at almost every table. Just some mass multi-tabling nit. So I really want to focus on him specifically because you'll see those guys all the time at the various microstakes games, and then the various other like kind of messy guys at the table as well. So I'm going to get into that. So I'm just going to dive right in here and start the video here. So you can see I have my Hold'em Manager stats up on the screen. And like I've said in my previous videos, I don't expect you guys to know what all these various numbers mean. I really, at the micro stakes, and if you're just getting into it, which I think a lot of you are, I only really want to focus on the first 2 numbers in the top left, the VPIP and the pre-flop raise percentage. So if we look at a guy like Long Tongue here, first number, 12% VPIP, voluntarily put money in the pot percentage. So that's the percentage of times that he's putting money in the pot. So 10% of the time, he likes his hand, he likes what he sees, and he's either limping or calling and getting involved in the pot. The other 90% of the times, he's folding. So what you can do really quickly, and I'm just going to pause the video right here, is if you bring up PokerStove, which is free. I've used this in many various videos, pokerstove.com. You can just download it for free. If I want to see what type of hands that 10% means, I go into the player here and I type in 10%, right? And we see that it's only very, very premium hands, the top 10% of hands. So the top 9.8%, I guess, is the next step level. But so we can see it's pocket